everyone. Welcome back to Happy Life, Better Life. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope that this video finds you well. Unfortunately, as I've been speaking to a lot of different people in their 40s and 50s, there are so many people who are experiencing anxiety and depression. I mean, it's really at record numbers these days. Record numbers of people, not just in their 40s and 50s, but even younger people are experiencing a lot of anxiety and depression. So I began to do some research. I wanted to know, what is the cause of this? What is the cause of this? And as I began looking into the research, what I found is that there are record numbers of people in their 40s and 50s who are starting over. And it can be due to many things. And we're not just talking about in relationships, we're talking about careers, jobs. So for one thing, people are getting tired of the pressure, the sheer pressure. And so people are starting to choose peace over pressure. They're getting tired of the hustle and bustle. They're getting tired of the grind, because most people in their 40s and 50s, they've already been grinding for years. You know, they've been hustling for decades now. And now they've come to a place where they are physically tired and mentally tired. And so they are choosing to sort of downsize their life and to try to minimize some of the pressure, some of the stress that they are feeling. And to me, I totally get that, because I kind of feel like I'm in that place right now. And people are looking for like more flexibility in their careers. They are actually changing careers, starting to pursue their passions more, because they've come to a place where they realize, you know, it's almost like a now or never type of thing, that if they really want to do certain things, if they really want to experience certain things, that they have to go after it now. Also, finances and responsibilities. Like, you have so many people who are not just, you know, looking after themselves, but they also have parents that they're looking after. They also have children, and even sometimes with grown children, with the status of where things is in our country right now, the cost of living is really, for a lot of people, outweighs the wage that they're making. It outweighs the pay that they're bringing in. So what they end up doing is having to sometimes move in with loved ones, having to do different things. So people are looking at their financial responsibilities and trying to pivot, basically, trying to pivot. Another thing is, there are more people in their 40s and 50s who are actually starting over again in relationships, in their love life. There's more, you know, that's why we have so many dating apps and so many different dating companies online. You know, I can't even think of what the name of them are, but there's a lot more dating apps for people who are in their 50s, their 40s, and even 60s, you know. And so it's changed a lot of things. It's changed a lot of things. But more than anything, people are starting to choose healing over the hustle. They're focusing more on wellness. They're focusing more on their health and just their well-being. And it's because people just want a better quality of life. And so I looked at comparisons between the US and other nations that are, I guess, doing better, where the people in their 40s and 50s are happier and healthier. And what I found is that there were some significant things attributing to that. Number one, work and life balance. So in some of the countries that are supposed to be some of the happiest, which actually, if you look at like the top 5, they are what's called the Nordic countries. It's like Denmark, Finland, places like that. They are the ones experiencing more happiness, more fulfillment. They are navigating life more seamlessly. And one of the reasons is because in these countries, they promote work-life balance. You don't have like sick days, whereas you get like six or 10 sick days in the year, those kinds of things. It's like if you're sick, you just take off. And there are programs in place to help you and assist you, even financially, if you end up having like a long-term sickness. Whereas here in the States, you have a limited amount of time, and hopefully it can go into FMLA if you've been at the job long enough and things like that. But there's a lot of stress involved, because sometimes for some of us, you might get paid for that time off, but for a lot of people, you don't. So you can end up going into financial disparity, basically, because you could lose things because you're not getting paid while you're sick. Also, even like when people have children, they give them months and months off to actually spend time with their children, and they are still being paid during that time, because to them, that bonding process is important. When it comes to people in their 40s and 50s, we naturally begin to experience different things in our bodies that cause us to sometimes, need to take time off. But it can be challenging to do that. And you can feel penalized when you do that. So job security, financial stress, these are things that contribute to depression and anxiety. Also, in a lot of these countries, they really value connection. They have strong communities where people come together, where people share together. And if you know how our country is, it's not something that's really emphasized. You have to kind of facilitate that, or you have to really be extremely, I would say you have to be intentional about trying to create your community of friends, your community, because most of the time we are pretty isolated as individuals. That's how we live our lives. And in certain countries, when people are getting older and stuff like that, they're actually valued more, listened to more, acknowledged more. And I feel like in the States, we try to do a better job of doing that, but a lot of times that's not always the case. So there's a lot of anxiety even around aging. So when it comes to some of the ways that we do things in our country versus other countries, it can be very different. Also, like the cost of living. The cost of living here in the States, you can find some states where there is a cheaper cost of living, but in most places, the cost of living is pretty high. So it's like you better be working, and you better be diligent, and you better be preparing, because they say that some of us are like 3 paychecks away from homelessness. Actually, yeah, three paychecks away. So if something happens and you get sick, or something happens with your job, you could risk losing your apartment. You could risk losing your vehicle, all these different things, because most of us, our finances are so stressed. So I'm sharing this information, and I know that this is very kind of pessimistic And I don't like to put out negative energy, but I'm bringing this to our attention because we need to change things. We really need to start thinking differently about our lives, our livelihoods, our well-being. And we need to really focus on how do we live our best lives at the age of 40 and 50. So number one, the financial piece is extremely important. It impacts our quality of living. And so when many of us choose to pursue peace over pressure, sometimes we give up something. So one of the things that many people are doing, they're becoming expats. They're moving to other countries where their dollar will last much longer and go much further. Also, people are choosing careers that they get some kind of intrinsic value out of, where it's not just about the paycheck. When it comes to health and well-being, there are more and more people turning to alternative health and wellness. Like, they don't want to just be put on a bunch of pills, prescriptions, and all these things. They are starting to look more to nature. People don't realize it, but spending time in nature is actually healing for us. It's healing for our bodies. It's healing for our souls. It's rest for our minds, you know? So it's extremely therapeutic. So we need to start seeking more activities outdoors, being in nature, being in water, doing things that are healing. And I want to start bringing some of the new things that are coming about that people are doing when it comes to health and wellness, because I've seen some videos of people, they'll be in a pool and they're on like these little rafts and they're floating, and there's somebody with a healing drum, you know, playing certain notes and tones that put our chakras or our bodies into alignment, you know, our spiritual well-being. There are people who are just pursuing other means of wellness. Have you ever been to a salt spa? Great experience. Breathing in fresh Himalayan salt that's ground up into like the finest of particles so you can breathe it in. So it helps with your lungs and all kinds of different body aches and things like that. So there's a lot of different things that people are turning to rather than just traditional medicine that's health and healing for our bodies. Also, when it comes to taking care of our mental well-being, in other countries, that's something that's more focused upon. We are getting there, but there's still a little bit of a stigma. And I'm going to share something personally. You know, I recently went through some physical things, but a lot of it was linked to like anxiety and depression, but it was showing up in my body in different ways, weird pains, and different things that were happening, shortness of breath. You know, so I had to practice like mindful meditation. These are our body's ways of telling us, you know, that something is out of alignment, that something is wrong. And while I was dealing with these things, I did share certain things with my family, but I didn't want other people outside of that to know, because I just never expected to be a person who was dealing with anxiety or depression. But into my life, it did come. So I really do understand it. And I really do understand how people, you know, don't want to share that information. Even talking to your doctors about it can seem, you know, invasive, intrusive. But it is the reality. It's just the reality of things. So while I'm sharing some news, I definitely had to put some encouraging things in there, that we can be proactive, that we can choose the life that we want to live, and we can design our lives around our wellness and our well-being and our peace of mind. So be encouraged today. You know, as always, I want you to live a happy life and a better life. And that's why I'm doing this video for you, because I care about you. So tune in next time. I'll be sharing some more information, and thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like this video. Please share, please subscribe, please comment, do all those things because, you know, we're here for each other. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.